Hello, I'm Jonasz Lewiński and you're watching TVP World Talks, where every word matters. In Germany, elections in Brandenburg have already taken place, preliminary results are in. And this is actually a moment of head-scratching for some political observers. Olaf Schultz may actually say that he won this, but he actually won this by a very narrow margin. The far right is riding a wave of discontent, scoring high among citizens who want some sort of change. The problem is that these changes might actually upset the entire German political scene and could have a broad-ranging implications for not just Germany but also all of the European Union. In order to discuss the significance of state elections in Brandenburg and what they could mean for the 2025 general elections in Germany, we have invited our guest today, Stefan Meister from the European Council of Foreign Relations. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, for Olaf Scholz, is this a moment of triumph or indeed a warning sign that things cannot continue the same way and changes have to be made if victory in the 2025 elections is to be assured?
I think we have to understand that the Social Democrats won despite Olaf Scholz. So we had an election campaign with the local prime minister who did not had any presentation with Olaf Scholz. So it was a very personalized election campaign with Dietmar Woidke, who is the prime minister of Brandenburg. And there was no Olaf Scholz in this election campaign. Olaf Scholz is the most unpopular, or one of the most unpopular politicians at the moment in Germany. And this is a victory not for Olaf Scholz, but for Woidke and for the local SPD. So it has nothing to say for the national elections next year.
That is a fascinating point, actually. A similar phenomenon was recorded earlier on during the elections in France, where Emmanuel Macron was actually an unwelcome guest for many campaigners. They preferred actually not to have him on his campaign posters. So this lack of popularity and the fact that also some of the ministers of his own government, including the Defense Minister Boris Pistorius, actually scoring higher. What does it tell us about Olaf Scholz himself? Has he really hit the wall when it comes to the ability to sway undecided voters, or is there anything else at play there?
No, I think we have a highly dysfunctional governing coalition with a chancellor who is not leading and not communicating well towards society. There is an impression in the society that this governing coalition, this chancellor, is not capable to solve the problems of Germany, which is in an economic crisis at the moment. We are in a way in a war situation with Ukraine, and we see that the right-wing and left-wing populists gain more votes now. And I think this is because of Olaf Scholz. This is because of his way not solving problems, not communicating right. But you can also see that personalities matter. And Woidke really polarized it in a way against the right-wing populists, that he took all the votes from the Greens, from the Left Party, from other parties, also from the Christian Democrats. So you see an increasing polarization in the German election campaign, and the main focal point are the right-wing populists of Alternative for Germany.
So you said earlier on that this situation really will have not that much of an impact on the general elections, or that it doesn't tell us much on the general elections. But was this comment limited only to Olaf Scholz's situation? Or do you think that actually the Brandenburg elections cannot be seen as any kind of litmus test for what's going to happen next year?
I think for the moment, the whole discussion, if Boris Pistorius, the Minister of Defense, you mentioned him already, might become the chancellor candidate for the Social Democrats, is more quiet. So because of this victory of the Social Democratic Party. But if you look into the polls, into the popularity of Scholz, this discussion will come come up again. So I think it has not ended with this election. And I think the second point is that the liberals, they have less than 1%. Minister of Finance, Lindner, he's a liberal, and there has now started a discussion in the Liberal Democratic Party. Maybe we finish this government, because for the liberals it's a very bad result, another bad result. So this discussion is not over, that maybe the liberals will leave this coalition and then we might have snap elections. So I think there will be more of these kind of discussions.
Is there a real threat that the far right might actually take over the government at the national level in 2025? Is there a configuration in which they could actually do so?
No, I don't think so. Even if this governing coalition we have at the moment is a lift for the right-wing populists, because of their dysfunctionality and this very weak chancellor, I don't think Germans are voting in a majority for the right-wing populists. I think the Christian Democrats still will win the election. Brandenburg is very specific. They never were strong in Brandenburg, but they were very strong in Thuringia and in Saxonia, the other two elections we had 2 weeks ago. So I think the Christian Democrats will win, and then still we have Greens, Social Democrats, who can be part of this governing coalition. So I think there is a wall against the right-wing populists, and that is still there. Yeah. So the question is Sarah Wagenknecht party, if she will somehow join. I think they are more open for her, but I don't think that the far right are ready to take over power, and Germans are not voting for them in such a majority.
And what are the reasons for this? After all, we've seen that this is a party that is using populist slogans and narratives. They are really trying to appeal to those who feel like, the transition, especially in Eastern Germany, has not been beneficial to them, but also to those who criticize the government for supporting Ukraine. In fact, this has been a unifying point for both the far right and the far left. They seem rather lenient towards Russia, and they seem eager to undermine the support for Ukraine as much as they can. So do you think that despite this, the political mainstream will be able to defend itself against this rise of populism?
I think the main topic is migration. We have to be honest, it's not the war in Ukraine, even if this is also a very emotional topic for the Germans, but it's really about migration and the inability also of this government and the state to get this topic under control. I think it's a legacy of Merkel from 2015, that too many migrants came into Germany, not really controlled, and the whole system is not capable to absorb all these migrants. We have issues also with people killing with knives, like in Solingen a couple of weeks ago. So I think this is a very emotional topic, and I think this is the lift for the right-wing populists. But I agree. I think also the support for Ukraine is not so popular in the German society. It's a kind of a society who does not want to be engaged in a war. It does not understand how important the support for Ukraine is. And this is played by populists without offering any kind of alternative, except just saying we need peace. So I think for me, it's more about the lack of communication by Scholz. It's more about the incapability of this government really to solve some domestic issues, also the economic crisis, and really to offer some results for this, which helps the right-wing populists. If we see a government coming in who is capable to deal with these issues, I think the support for the right-wing populists will go down, and also for the left-wing populists. So let's see, but yeah, I think it's really about a dysfunctional government, in my opinion, and this chancellor and his inability to lead on key issues.
And just a very quick question. Have the reports on the potential involvement of foreign countries, especially Russia, also China, in the rise of AfD, have these reports gained any sort of traction among voters?
No, not among voters. I think it's very much discussed in media and in the political circles, but people do not care. People vote for the populists because they want to vote against the government, and they don't care about any Chinese or Russian interference.
So overall, we have this assessment of the political landscape in Germany, the far right and the far left on the rise, but as you've said, there is still a chance that these parties will remain on the margin instead of taking power in 2025. Stefan Meister was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your insight.
Thank you.
And I'm Jonasz Rewiński. You're watching TVP World. Please do stay with us for more latest news and updates.